So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
From God. Today is a day of light and love. It is God's good pleasure to provide our good. For God is all there is. Divine mind is ever present, ever flowing in us, as us, through us, surrounding us with light and love. And I know that I am one with the divine. I am guided, sourced, and supported by God. Spirit is my constant companion, and thus I am never alone. And as I know this for myself, I know this for everyone in this room and those listening from afar. We are God's perfect creation, and as God speaks to us, we listen and we hear. We have only to be still to know God's words. And I know that our service today unfolds with grace and love and is a celebration of divine mind. I know that God speaks to us through the words and songs and music, and I know that we hear all that we need to hear. I know the reflection of Spirit in each face, and the peace and love of God is a manifestation of perfection. God is in this place, for we are God, and God is us. And so I cherish this time together with all of you. I cherish our unity and our joy in all we receive today. I know that Rev Katherine's talk unfolds perfectly, and that her words and wisdom are received with joy and the absolute knowledge that all is well. This service unfolds in right and perfect order, and I bless it, and I let it be. And so it is. So it is.
That's our practitioner, Pat Clark. Thank you so much. Thank you for your meditation this morning. Thank you for, what I love about when Pat leads meditation is that she always sings. And so if you missed it, it's on our Facebook Live, and it's on our Facebook page, and you get to experience her and hear her singing at the end of the meditation, which is just glorious. So thank you. Can we give her some love, please? And our music team that opened us up, Danielle Tucker. Let's say good morning to her. And we have a new pianist with us. This is Mike, everybody. We want to welcome him. And I'm Rev Katherine, just in case if you don't know me. And I do know that the Patriots are not in the Super Bowl. Please know that. But please know that I know we've got representation of the Rams in the room, just so you know. There are people in the Rams jerseys in the room. Yay. From what I understand, that's who we're rooting for, right? Yes, okay, that's who we're rooting for. And that's what I love is that, the truth is, I don't really care about football. I'm so excited to get chicken wings. At the end of the day, I get to eat chicken wings, and I'm really excited about that, and all of it. But there's this fun aspect to this. There's energy aspect to this, and this is gonna pertain to something I'm gonna say later on in the service. But this is the deal: if we could use the energy that's harnessed for the excitement for this game, right? If we could harness just a fraction of the energy of people coming together and getting excited and focusing on one thing happening, if we could take a portion of that energy and put it towards being together with one another, supporting each other, we could change the world, right? And so if I got to put a jersey on every year and take the jokes, yes, I know whose jersey I'm wearing, and I know the whole story, and we still love him. Yet I get it, right? But I will do that because I believe that we have this creative power within us to affect not only our own lives, but the lives of everyone around us. And when we use that energy specifically towards good happens. And so that's why every year on Super Bowl Sunday, instead of putting a red blouse on to celebrate Valentine's Day, I'm going to put my football jersey on and I'm going to get in the middle of it because we've got an energy and a possibility to make some shift and change. You with me?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. And the other thing about this is that I really want this experience to be fun. Church is fun. It's fun. There's joy here for you. There's joy here for us. There's joy in this life for us. And it doesn't matter, how that shows up. When we are authentically in our hearts and coming together in community, that's where the love lives. And that's why we are here today. And so it's with joy that I welcome you this morning. And we're going to have some fun today. At least we're going to try to have some fun today. I hope you got your chocolate on the way in. Did you, yes? Make sure you get some on the way out also, so I don't get left with it. But we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day. We're going to honor this celebration of love and this moment in community. And so I'm so grateful that you decided to join us together. And we're going to do this by singing. So I think we're ready for our congregational song.
We are ready. So let's all stand together. We're going to sing I'm Choosing Heaven today. You should see the words up this morning. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking in the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. Now love. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking in the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing love today. Compassion. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking in the road of heaven right now, singing I choose compassion today. Not joy. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. Abundance. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I choose abundance today. To heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
All right, and so it is Valentine's Day, and I love this holiday. People don't like it; they call it a Hallmark holiday. And like I said, whenever you put love and chocolate together, it's fine with me. And I think that it doesn't matter. If we have an extra opportunity to tell people that we appreciate them and we love them, we should do it. And we shouldn't wait for the one day when Hallmark tells us to buy their cards and to do it. We should do it every day. But sometimes we forget. So the idea that we can get into a space where we can just focus on that love. And so I love that. And I love the idea of, I love all of it. I love the idea of falling in love. I love the idea of mature love. You know, I love the idea of that love that is, the commitment and love that has gotten you through life so long that of course it's your person because you've gotten through everything. Everybody's been in different ways of, different modes of relationship and different experiences of love through our lives. We have our familial love. We have the love of a parent. We have, you know, friends. We have all this different kinds. But yet, so often we feel like there's not enough. So often we feel like we're lacking love somehow. And I think it's because we hold back from sharing that with each other. I think we hold back from being vulnerable enough to say, I really appreciate you, I really love you. Because we're afraid of what we're going to get back. And so I want us to focus this Valentine's Day on that divine lover of your soul. Your Valentine, your true Valentine is Spirit itself. And one of the things that I love when I started to get into the spiritual world all those years ago was I would be driving around and all of a sudden listening to the radio, and all of a sudden I would hear all the music that was being played differently. I started to hear those love songs, and this was a time when I was alone. I had been in a relationship that was headed towards the altar that took a big veer to the right, and my head spun a little bit, and I was like, wait, where am I? What's going on here? And was feeling really alone and lost. And I would drive around Boston at the time. I was driving around Boston and listening to the radio, and all of a sudden, the quality of the music changed. Because instead of feeling like every love song was saying, oh, look at you, you're alone, look at you, you should listen to that other station that's playing all the heartbreak songs, right? Like you should be listening to that. No, all of a sudden, it was as if God was singing to me, to remind me that I'm loved. So all of those love songs that we hear on the radio, all of those things that all those songs we've loved through our whole lives, right? The great standards and the modern songs and all of that, when it comes down to it, it's really the Spirit that has created all out of love. We have been each created. We were a thought in the mind of God, a thought of love, and created is our unique expression. And we have been supported in this life. We've been pushed through into this life to experience the joy of life because God loves us so much. And it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and it's trying to pour itself forth to us, but we're not receiving it, we're not accepting it, we're not waking up to that being the truth. And as we do that and we welcome it, we welcome it in love. And so what I wanted to do, I wanted to give you a little Valentine. We wanted to give you a little Valentine, so we've got a love song for you from God today. But not only today, as you go through this week, I want you to think that way. Think every time you hear a love song, every time you hear some sentiment out there, it's really God for you, giving you a little blessing, giving you a little reminder of how precious you are to life and how precious you are to love itself, to God. And so I asked Danielle, and she agreed to do an extra song for us today. So this one's for you. This one's for you.
My love has come along
reading for today is in honor of Valentine's Day, and this reading is from Ernest Holmes. Love is the essential flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. It is written that God is love, and that we are his expressed likeness, the image of the eternal being. Love is self-givingness through creation, the importation of the divine through the human. Love is an essence, an atmosphere, which defines analysis, as does life itself. It is that which is and cannot be explained. It is common to all people, to all animal life, and evident in the response of plants to those who love them. Love reigned supreme over all. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotions, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. Words cannot express its depth or meaning. A universal sense alone bears witness to the divine fact. God is love, and love is God.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us simply 'cause our hair is long? Oh, you know we gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on, what's going on, oh, what's going on. Tell me what's going on, oh, what's going on.
small little honoring of Black History Month, that song with great history here. Thank you, Danielle, beautiful. And Mike, thank you, Danielle and Mike. Okay, so I'm raring to go, ready. All right, so this year, as we've been talking about lately, is we've got a new theme about everyday wonder. And so we're trying to remind ourselves that there's magic in every day, you know, that this life is truly magical, that there's great blessings and awe there for us, you know, and let's face it, we've kind of gotten out of the habit of looking for that, right? Like, it seems that life has been hard lately. I don't want to affirm it, I don't want to keep harping on it, but I want to acknowledge what is and what's in front of us. And it has seemed a little more difficult, challenging in recent times, yes? You're with me? Yeah, okay. So you know what, I'm trying not to like solidify it, but we've got to acknowledge what is. There's an elephant in the room, and we've been through a pandemic, and it's been challenging. And so what's happened over this period of time is that we've forgotten to like plug into the wonder. We've forgotten to remember that there's some magic here. And we start to forget a little bit, and we start to get focused on the challenges and on the difficulties, and then it kind of gets solidified, and then we just feel yucky, right? It just feels hard. But it doesn't have to. And so this year, what we're doing each week, each of these 52 weeks, what we're doing is we're finding another way to think about looking for the wonder in every day. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of pathways to plug back in to that essence, that energy of spirit that's going to feed and nurture us and support us in experiencing this life to the highest level. And so that's our focus for this year. But this month, we're bringing our attention, because the first thing that happens is when you say, okay, let's acknowledge what is. You start to say, okay, this is what I want, right? Like, this is what I'd like, how I'd like my life to be. And the first thing that happens is your mind says, but it's not. Right? That's the first thing your mind's going to say when you say, okay, I want this, or set my intention for this. The mind's going to say, well, you don't have it, it's not possible, good luck to you. You know, and that's why we get used to living limited. We get used to like holding ourselves back. We get used to putting up with what it is, and it's not that bad. It's okay. I can handle it. And that's our normal way of operating. But when the world gets rocky, it gets worse. And so it's more important now for us to be present with what is. And so when we are present with what is, and we know that we want to move in a certain direction, the only place we can start to make change from is within. It's from the inner life. So the first theme that we're going to look at in terms of living everyday wonder is in the inner world, in your inner life. The only place we can make change is from inside. And so it reminds me of one of my favorite little jokes. We were joking about how I can't tell jokes this morning, and so we're going to try. I'm going to try, right? So there was a Buddhist who went to the hot dog vendor and said, "Make me one with everything." And he smirked a little bit. And the hot dog vendor took the man's money and handed him his thing with a little bit of a, yeah, I've heard that one before. You know, there's a lot of Buddhists near this hot dog vendor. And so then the Buddhist turns to him and says, "Well, where's my change?" And the hot dog vendor, without missing a beat, says, "All change comes from within." I told a joke! All right, so that's the only place. That's not the point, but I'm happy about that. But so the whole idea is that the only place that we can instigate change is from within ourselves. But that's not where we normally do it. Normally, when we want something to change, we start to think about, okay, well, if I can get this person to do this, and I can figure that out, and I can manipulate the world around me, I'm going to get what I want. That's the first thing we normally do. Our habits take us to trying to change the structure of our life to make it how we want it, to rearrange it that way. But that's not how lasting change happens. Lasting change happens when we go within and we figure out what the cause is of the discomfort of what's happening in our lives and shift the cause. Create a new cause, and then the situation of your life will change. See? It's a different way of approaching it. So my talk today is pause and find the cause. All right. So let's face it, we live at a really fast pace. You know, we have been. And I don't care what age or chapter of life you're in. Some of my retired friends are more busy than I could ever even imagine. We live at a fast pace. And the blessing and curse of technology is that it like to be even faster, to amp that up and like to get a lot of stuff done. And we try to cram as much as we can into a day, a week, a month, a day, an hour. You know what I mean? How much can I get done in this? And then we feel really, I'll own it, I feel a little off when I just don't get as much done as I think I'm supposed to, right? But what happens is that when we stay on that fast pace, and we think that it's all about productivity in terms of creating stuff in the outside world, we don't give ourselves time to be present with ourselves at all. There's no ability to understand where you're at, to see where you're in alignment with your intentions for who you want to be in the world and where you're not, or what that feels like, because we are flying down the highway. That's why, the challenge of the lockdown a couple years ago was that, we all kind of went slam, we all had to stop and start to exist at a different pace. But what I see happening now is people are back up to speed and we're like, okay, we're getting through this, let's get over this, let's just pretend it never happened, let's go, let's just get back on the highway and start flying again and put this behind us, right? Well, and there's some, I get that there's some comfort to that. We want it to be done because it's been uncomfortable. But we can't just go back to some other way of being without taking the blessing and the learning of what we've experienced. There has been a blessing to COVID. There has been. And that blessing is that each and every one of us has had the opportunity to start to reevaluate how we are showing up in the world. Whether we're conscious of that or not, that's what's been happening. You are being called to reevaluate how the rhythm of your life works. Does that pace work for you? Because let me tell you, it doesn't work for me. I've been shifting things up myself. We need to do that. We need to be present with, where we are and where we've come from and where we really want to go for our highest expression, for our highest experience. Is just jumping back on that highway going to support you in living a balanced, peaceful well-being? Right? Do you see how those two things are not congruent? But it takes pausing and stopping and being present with yourself to be able to get that knowledge, to get that understanding. And yet there are some of us who did take time to reevaluate where they are in their lives and what they want to experience. And we need to keep doing that. It's not something that you do once and say, okay, now I'm all good, and we go. We need to cultivate a relationship deeper within ourselves. You can't do a deep dive when you're going fast. These are the things that I learned a long time ago, especially when working on consciousness work. You can't go deep and fast at the same time when you're doing consciousness work. There is no time to the development of consciousness. It doesn't live within the time-space continuum, and I'm not going to go that far out there into my metaphysics here in this moment, but I want to make sure you're following me, right? Are you following me? Yes? Give me a shake if you're confused. Okay, maybe a little bit. Okay, I love this one. This is a good one. Yeah, for everybody online, I'm getting a little bit of this, so that's good. Okay, kinda. Okay, so this is the deal: is that when we're trying to take a step, when you feel, because this is not something that happens through our brains. We can't think ourselves into healing. It's not a thought. It's not a manipulation. It's a revelation. And our revelations come from the depths of our being. And you know that. Because when you've had, I'll tell you, I can tell you, and I may not have ever talked to you before, but I know that if you've ever had an inspiration, an idea to go in a different direction in your life, you didn't think it. It came out of you, right? It's a different quality to it. So you can't get to that depth by ignoring your emotions and your feelings and driving a million miles down the highway of your life. You need to pause, to be present with yourself enough to see what wants to come forward, to see what's happening there. So if you're wondering why I'm up here every week being a cheerleader, I feel like I should have pom-poms today. I should have pom-poms today. Oh, that would have been so great. If I'm being a cheerleader for mindfulness and meditation and spiritual practice, this is why. There is a divine lover of your soul. God loved you so much it created you in the image and likeness of itself, in its infinite love, its infinite power and possibility. It's the relationship that we need to be cultivating. It's your divine Valentine. And if you haven't spent any time with it, how do we expect the infinite grace of God to show up when we hit a rocky patch? How do we expect that we can lean on knowing the rock of our faith when we're standing on a pebble instead of a boulder? If we allow space for ourselves and for the divine of our hearts, we create this relationship that's sustaining and supportive, and it's organic, and it's a real thing. God is not some concept that just we talk about until I'm blue in the face or in the shirt. But God is a presence in our lives. And when you cultivate that, when you nurture it, it really shows up, and you can lean on it. And you can ask questions and it'll answer. And you can put demands on where you're moving, and the universe will respond. But like any relationship, it has to be a two-way street. We need to talk as much as we listen. We need to listen to the divine. And the only way we listen is when we slow down and we pause and we go within. Now, I realize, and I have said this before, I realize that is a challenging experience for many people because their minds are not the safest place for them. Because we are very harsh with ourselves. We're very judgmental about who we are and what we've done and what we haven't accomplished and all of that. But we have to walk in with a fierce heart. Walk into our inner realm with a fierce heart and know that we are the divine emanation of God, made in the image and likeness and the power and presence of love. And so if you can pause long enough, if you can be present long enough with that chaos in your mind, it settles down. Because that judgmental, harsh critic on the inside is like a toddler who's hungry and tired. Have you ever been around a toddler who's hungry and tired? Yeah. Give them a little something to eat, a little nurturing, they're going to calm down and take a nap. And then you get to the truth of what lies at the center of your being. Again, as I said, you'll never heal anything by thinking it. It's an integration of a realization. An integration of a realization which leads to a new perspective. And when you have a new perspective, you act in a different way. You step out in your life in a different way. Someone told me once that a colleague is fond of saying that all the noise comes from the shallow end of the pool. Okay, now there's a couple ways of looking at that. One of them is, I like to think of it as my mind. So all those thoughts and those judgments and those things that are bouncing around in my head, and I'll admit I'm a Gemini, so there's a lot of thoughts going around in my head. I don't know how it is in yours, but sometimes it feels like a ping pong ball. Ding, 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 right? Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad I got a little information on that, so I'm not that nuts. But, we have all sorts of different kinds of thoughts. We have high thoughts and we have low thoughts. We have expansive thoughts. We have limiting thoughts. I love that one way of looking at the way that the Bible talks about angels and devils. If you go back into the Bible and you look at the moments where they talk about high thoughts and they talk about low thoughts, they call them angels and devils. Angels, whenever the Bible's talking about angels showing up, they're the high thoughts. They're those knowing, that truth with a capital T. And devils are just low thoughts. Devils are just limited ideas, limited thoughts, mistakes. And so we've got these angels and devils riding around in our heads, don't we? Because we have a myriad of thoughts in a day. Thousands and thousands of thoughts we have in a day. And some of them are high thoughts and some of them are low thoughts. And what we want to focus on is the sum, the average. We want to get the average amount of thoughts that you're thinking up over 50% of positive. Okay, we want to kind of lift them up, lift up our thoughts to see truth. And so what are we attaching to? Because we have superficial judgy thoughts, and sometimes it feels good to be a little judgy, and it's just not ever really good. It's not ever good for ourselves, even when it's something outside of ourselves, because you're putting that energy out. And sometimes we have really deep thoughts, and sometimes we have inspired thoughts, and we have all sorts of them. But the idea is, the question is, what do you do with them? What do you do with those thoughts? Do you allow the fearful, judgy, limiting thoughts to get in your way of what you're doing in the world? Are you allowing yourself to move into that place of knowing truth, using it as a statement of your faith? Can you see how we can get pulled in different directions, and it catches us up? It takes the pause. It takes the pause to realize what kind of thoughts you're having, and we have a choice as to what direction we want to go in with them. It's perfect on this Valentine's weekend to talk about this, because I think that I truly believe that our spiritual practice is our time with the divine. It's a gift we give to the creator of us. So if you don't have a daily spiritual practice where you're pausing for, I don't care, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour. I have, one of my teachers says that we should tithe our time to God, which would be 2 hours and 40 minutes every day. If you're not giving yourself any time with that relationship, you can't put a demand on it that it's going to be there to support you. I mean, God is always there. But that reciprocal give and take, showing up when you need it, being able to lean on it. We have to cultivate our relationship with God like we would cultivate a relationship with a divine lover, with our significant other. We have to listen to it. We have to spend some time together. You need to find something that you do that's fun. My husband and I are playing Rummy 500 and playing backgammon, for our time together. And I'm wondering about God. I'm like, God, do you want to show up in my Words with Friends? No. It's not, no. But I am thinking about taking God on a walk for our Valentine's Day date. Or there's a new winery that opened up down at the bottom of my street. I could go take God to lunch, right? And what does that look like? It's me having an hour with myself in a beautiful spot without any worry that I need to be anywhere else, and my journal. It's me and my journal. Allowing those thoughts to come forward. Allowing some time. And so I encourage you to date God. That's one date you can go on, even if you're married. You can date outside your marriage. I'm going on a date. Sorry, I'm not going there. I'm coming back. She's pulling it back. And this is why. This week I got my hair cut. And I went and I saw my hairdresser, this woman Susan, who I love. She's one of my favorite people in the world. And I went down and had a chat with her. And I believe that hairdressers are the new bartenders. Yeah, I got a lot of this. Yeah, hairdressers are the new bartenders. And so what that means is, in the old days there was a joke that, you go to the bar and they'd be your therapist, right? Like the bartender would say, how's it going? And they were cleaning their glass there where you're telling your whole story, and you have therapy at the bar, And so what's happening is that when you go and get your hair cut, you just chat, and they hear everything. I told her, I'm like, you're doing my work. You're doing my work. This is wild. So we were talking about what was going on in the world, and I was just mentioning to her, what I'm hearing and seeing out in the world, and there is still so much frustration and so much anger, out in just what's happening out there. For example, we had a story this week. My husband, who's not here today, he's with my daughter, but my husband was walking. He was going to the grocery store to buy some chicken. He was walking down the aisle to get some chicken at my local market, and some guy walked by him and just yelled an expletive, which I can't say, but had the word "hold" in it, to my husband, like, for no reason, because he was wearing a mask. And so anybody who knows my husband, he's a very sweet, kind, quiet man who wouldn't really be like in your face on anything. He doesn't have a statement on his mask that's like calling something forward, like I've seen with people before. It's just whatever, My husband wears a mask because his wife in treatment for cancer, you know, like he cares. That's why he does what he does. But this guy came by, and so he had a reaction. Of course, the first thing he did was call me, and I'm a mama bear. That was my first reaction. And I took a breath, and I paused. And so when I went and got my haircut, I was telling Susan about this. We were talking about it, and she got really upset about it too. It's like, it's just happening a lot. There's a lot of this happening. And what I said was this: it reminds me of how much stress everybody's under. It reminds me of how much pressure people are under. Because anger and reactions are never really about what we think that they are. It's never about the incident that happens. It's because you've been on a low boil for a while of something that has not been addressed or looked at. It's like that boiling pot of water, right? That steam's got to get out. It's got to get out. And at some moment, it's going to find the weak spot, and it's going to blow. And that is what's happening with anger and reactions out in the world right now. And so I was able to take a step back and go, okay, I don't know what's happening in that guy's life. I said a prayer for him. I'm sorry about that, you know. I said, I'm sorry that something must be going on. I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to try and figure it out. But I'm going to bless him and know that there's peace there for him if he wants it. And I'm glad that my husband chose not to engage in that. And I'm glad I wasn't there. Let's just say I'm glad that I wasn't there, that I didn't have to say, okay, who are you going to be in the world? It's always unhealed pain or anger. It's that boiling feeling. Everybody's under stress. And we've been through this worldwide event, and we're trying to go forward without reconciling the fact that we've been through a life-changing event. There has to be some healing, some acknowledgement, some process of what we've been through in order for us to step forward in that new way. We can't pretend it didn't happen. We can't go back to what was. We can't sweep it under the rug, because you know what? It's a boiling pot of water, and it will explode eventually in some other way and hurt somebody else who doesn't deserve it, who's just trying to buy some chicken, right? Who's just trying to buy some chicken. So like I said, I was talking about journaling before. I really think that my suggestion for our spiritual practice this week is journaling. And I'll tell you, I'm the kind of person who hates journaling. I've always hated journaling. It's never been my thing, and it feels like it's painful, but I do it every day now and have done it for a while, and this is why. When we take the time to pause and to sink into that deeper place, we have to get there. And what journaling helps us do is get that top layer out. So I was trying to come up with an analogy for this, and I finally came up with cream top yogurt. All right, you have the idea of cream top yogurt? So when you buy cream top yogurt, what happens is all the cream goes to the top, right? And so it's like hard on the top, and you have to kind of cut through that first and mix it all up. Now, the analogy doesn't totally work because the cream is the best part, okay? And in this analogy, it's not. So just know that. So the idea is that top, which is the first thing that comes out when you journal, all right? So when you sit down to journal, I don't like it sometimes because it feels like I'm just complaining. I'm just writing all my complaints. You're not complaining, because I don't want to complain. I want to do something positive. I want to move in a good direction. I want to do what Rev Katherine says on Sunday, and I want to be that good. You know, I want to do what I say. Yeah, no. But the truth is that you have to get all of the petty stuff out first. You have to dump it out so that you can see what's beneath it and what's below it. And so the way I was thinking about it is that cream top is like that congealed energy of all the old thoughts and the old ideas of the things that you were hurt about and you're mad about from the past, from 25 years, and you're still mad about it and you can't handle them, blah, blah, whatever, and it gets all congealed on the top. And what we need to do is we need to scrape that off. So that's my analogy. So when you're journaling this week, you're going to remember Rev Katherine scraping off the top of the stuck stuff and moving into that delicious blueberry yogurt on the bottom. Okay. We'll leave that one away. We'll leave that one where it goes. So when you get through all of the stuff, it's the superficial part, you know, that loud part of the brain, then you have space. There's space. There's breath. There's a moment where you can be inspired. It takes space and peace to allow in that wisdom and that inspiration. Because what we want to do is we want to remember we're at cause. We want to remember that we're creators. that we can co-create with the divine life what we want to experience and which direction we want to go in. We have a choice. We have a choice whether we want to show up in that high thought or in the low one. How do you want to be in the world? We have to, if we want to show up in the high thought, if we want to show up in our highest way, we have to do the work to let go of what we've been through. We have to do the work to look at what we are not resolved with. We have to be present with what's going on with us in order to let that go and move into a new direction. And so we have a choice. We have a choice how we show up. If we're allowing the ideas of the masses to affect our lives or not. There's a religious science term called race consciousness. And race consciousness is the sum total of thoughts of a group, and we could either buy into them or we cannot. And so right now there's this huge race consciousness idea of struggle. There's a huge race consciousness idea that this is a time of lack, of limitation, of difficulty. And we have a choice whether we're going to plug into it or not. The image that works for me is the old time, and I've got my little thing on too, the old time operators, right? Who used to plug a call in and they would take a call out. And they'd plug a call in and they'd take a call out, right? And so the whole idea that I have is, what are you plugging into? Are you plugging into the idea in the world that this is a really challenging moment? Are you plugging into the idea that there's a possibility and opportunity here for you? Are you plugging into the idea that illness is inevitable? Or are you plugging into the idea that you are the divine emanation, even each and every cell of your body is alive with the high vibration of God, and that's your protection. That can be your protection and support you in this process. What are we plugging into? It's time to decide to be conscious about what you are believing and what you are plugging into. Because as we remember that we're creative, as we remember that we are part of this divine life, everything starts to shift and unfold in a different way for us. I came across a story this week. This is also in the celebration of the Super Bowl. Because I've been sitting with the idea that we always have a choice how we're going to show up. We always have a choice as to what it is that we're going to bring into our life and into the lives of everybody around us. So then when I came across this from the Washington Post this week, I was like, okay, this is our story for the week. So this is, I'll just read it. For Audrey Soap, the father-daughter dance is a big social event and always a highlight of her year. This year, though, as it was drawing near, the 11-year-old was filled with dread. Audrey's father died last March, and just 5 weeks later, she lost her grandfather, who would have been her stand-in date for the dance. We had such a horrible year, and she's been through so much, said her mother, Holly. Still, Audrey wanted to attend the dance at her local church with all her friends, and about a month before the event, her mom started brainstorming date options for her daughter. One man came to mind. It seemed improbable that a National Football League player would say yes, but there was no harm in asking her daughter's favorite sports star. Soap sent an Instagram message a few days before Christmas this year to Anthony Harris, a Philadelphia Eagles player who's originally from Richmond. I knew it was far-fetched and I didn't know what I was expecting, Soap said, her mother. But I figured I would at least try. Hey, this is a kind of crazy big ask, and please feel free to say no, but there's this dance at the end of January. She wrote to him explaining her daughter's predicament. Is there any way you'd consider doing this? To her shock, he replied right away. Given that the football season was still in motion and there was a chance his team might make it to the playoffs, he couldn't initially commit. If we don't make it to the playoffs, he said, I would be open to that, he said. This wasn't the first time Harris and Soap had corresponded. They started communicating periodically over Instagram in March of 2020. Soap and her 2 children live in this town. It's a PFLU. Pflugerville? PFLU. How do you say that? Pflugerville. Okay, they live in Texas, just north of Austin. But she originally is from Minnesota. And the Soap family has long been a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, and their favorite player is Harris, who played for the NFL team for 6 seasons before signing a contract with the Eagles in March of 2021. Soap spontaneously sent him a message on social media one day to let him know that she and her family are big fans and that they wanted to send their prayers and support amid the pandemic. The last thing she expected was a reply. But he responded, which was kind and incredible, she said. Every few months she would write Harris to check in and let him know that her family was watching from home and rooting for him. Most often, to her delight, he would respond. In an interview with the Washington Post, Harris said he was touched by her support. To continue, those efforts really showed that they appreciated not only who I was as a player, but also what I was doing as a person, he said. This is somebody who never met me in person. This is somebody who had just been following my career and not only paying attention to what I do on the field, but also what I do off the field. And for her part, Soap said she found all his posts really down to earth on social media, and he just felt really personable and relatable. He seemed so real and genuine, and it really made me feel like he was more of a person that we could get to know. She decided to send him a message the day after her husband died in a tragic accident, hoping he would send back a word of condolence for her daughter. Harris, who was raised by a single mother, wanted to return the support Soap had given him over the years. "I will absolutely pray for you," he said. "Please let me know if you need anything." Soap never expected to take Harris up on his offer, but for her daughter's sake, she figured she would give it a shot. So when it became clear in mid-January that the football season was over for the Eagles, Harris kept his word. He told Soap that he would fly across the country to accompany Audrey to the father-daughter dance at the Fellowship Church in Round Rock. Harris said he was moved by Soap's invitation and recognized her as a mother doing what she can to provide for her family, and he wanted to try and make a sad situation better. When Harris confirmed he would be there, I was really blown away. She said it was just hard to believe. Harris also insisted on buying Audrey a brand new dress and shoes to wear that night, and he arranged for her to get her hair and makeup done. He spared no expense whatsoever, and he just wanted to make sure that she felt special and cared about. "I wanted to make it a unique experience," he said. "I wanted her to feel like a princess." He also wanted to help with costs. Deaths come with financial burden as well. So January 28th, Harris arrived at the Soap's home to pick up Audrey for the dance. She stepped outside wearing her new floral dress with tan heels to meet her date for the first time. "I couldn't believe that this was happening," she said. "In equal measure, I was nervous and excited to meet him, and the feelings were mutual. I think I might have been a little more nervous than she was," Harris confessed with a laugh. But he did everything possible to make Audrey feel comfortable around him by chatting with her and trying to relate to her as best he could. His efforts worked. Before long, it didn't feel like I was with someone that was in the NFL, she said. It felt like I was with a normal person, and he was my friend. The duo danced and laughed for several hours that night, and they also participated in a scavenger hunt. We had fun, and that was what it was all about. He said, for Harris, ensuring Audrey felt special and supported was his top priority. "I just wanted to try and help her cope through the experience without her father being there. I had people in my life, sometimes complete strangers, that were very supportive of me, so I wanted to do that for her." Harris hopes his presence at the dance demonstrated to Audrey that others that you can one day potentially be a support system to someone else, he said. "You don't have to know anybody just to help them." Beautiful. Beautiful. Expression of love. Beautiful expression of love. So, yeah, let's get and I'll share the story, though it's from the Washington Post. I'll share it on my Facebook today so that you can see the pictures of them. They're adorable. She's adorable. It's just adorable. But this is the question. Who do we want to be in the world? We have to realize that we are helping to create what's happening right now. And that in small ways and great ways, we have a part to play in it. And only by owning our own work, only by pausing and allowing what needs to be released can we get to that gooey, juicy, wonderful center of truth within us, which is love. It's the manifestation of love. And so when we can open that channel and come from that intention of love, we not only transform our own experience and move in the direction of those things that we want to shift, but we also create a path of light and a path of love all around us, and it makes a difference in the world. And so the question is, how are you going to show up this week? I know you're going to show up as the light of love, and so it is.